Hi friends, my name is Megan and welcome to episode 130 of A Knotty Mess Knitting Podcast. Hi everyone, welcome to January 29th, 2026, and I am excited to cover some really fun things today. I have two finished objects and a new cast on, two new cast ons. Wow, math is going to be hard for me today. Counting. And yeah, some other fun progress to share with you. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Megan. I am a mostly knitter, sometimes crocheter, hand spinner, and all around fiber enthusiast I live just north of Seattle with my husband Mike, our daughter Theo, our dog Winter, my mom Cindy. I'm excited to go over all things fibery goodness. We talk about on this podcast what I'm wearing, what I finished, what I'm working on, new cast-ons, project plans, all things yarn and yarn adjacent. I do have a spin to talk about today, acquisitions. I do have an acquisition and books. And then sometimes other fiber things going on in the world. And I'm excited to be here. It's been a really, really tough week. For me, knitting has always been a really amazing way to just de-stress from general life. It also keeps me off my phone. Not that I don't know what's going on. I just don't do a lot of doom scrolling. I found myself doing that a little bit more this week. So I said to Mike with intention, I need to stay off my phone a little bit more. It's not really great for my mental health and just makes me more stressed at work and just all of the things. So I know a lot of you are feeling that too. Hopefully your projects are keeping you centered and hopefully I can give you a little bit of joy this week. So let's talk about what I'm wearing. This is the Belmullet Pullover by Andrea Gown. This is my first test for Andrea Gown. Actually, this may be my only test. And not that I didn't want to test for her again. I had a great time actually. I thought that the test was run well. I love that there are two views for this. So there is a view 1 and 2. I think she calls them views. I'm not sure. But anyway, in the pattern, there's basically two size charts being used. One graded for women, which is the standard one. And then what you'll see in most knitting patterns, even ones that say unisex are not typically graded off of a men's chart. But then there is a men's chart too. So this one has which just means that there's broader shoulders. Sometimes it's a little bit more arm side depth and then biceps that don't just get too small. And I love that. I think that's great. I did for this one, I'll tell you the sizing. For this one, I said I did, fit 1 and 2 is what she calls it. So I made size E, which is a 53¼ inch bust, fit 1. At the time that I modeled the pictures that are up here, it was a 47 inch bust. So I'm a little bit smaller than that now, but it has really good drape. Okay. This also is great because something I cast on, I was a little worried about the size I picked, but I think this is the right call if you want this particular type of drop. So this drop is actually, I just love some of the details of this. First, these really fun traveling cables, they were pretty fun to do. I'm not going to stand up because I'm feeling lazy, but so there's this my shoulder lines right here. It's so crisp. It just continues on. And I will say per pattern, it wasn't as easily aligned as I thought it would be, but I did a little work. I do remember this to make sure those stitches were exactly aligned and it paid off. Looks great. I did make this out of Malabrigo worsted, which is a heavy worsted yarn and single ply. And I was really nervous. I knew the cables would look nice, but I was nervous for the wear. But I made this and finished it in October of 2024. And I wear it not super often because it's very recognizable and also it's very warm. But I wear it enough that I have not been really it's pilly. Let's see. You can see it on the underside moss stitch. You can see it there. But it's not as pilly as I thought it would be. Not as pilly as some of my non-superwash yarns that are plied. So this is a non-superwash yarn, so I mean, I'll shave it. I just let a friend borrow my shaver and I won't see her for a couple weeks, but that's That's okay. I can shave. I can shave it later. So as always, I have a ton of project notes in my Ravelry page, and which you can find in my projects. And I just, yeah, I really enjoyed this knit a lot. And I love the outcome. So if you're craving like a fun cabley type of project, that's not just your standard, you know, 2x2 cross cables, this one's fun. I did learn something about myself, is like, I don't enjoy this honeycomb cable, whatever this is called, that has like you basically have to do every other row or every fourth row you have to do cables, but like there's just so many of them. There are sweaters out there that are this entire pattern. Like I remember when Rebecca Clow put one out not long after I did this, she was like testing, or at least talking about it on her page, and I was like, I know I will not be doing that sweater. I mean, maybe at some point I would want to process knit that, but not really for me. And as I said, I just did the Mila, and you have to do tons of cables all the time. For me, that was rewarding because it was interesting. This is less interesting to do forever. Anyway, it was fine in a small panel. Okay, let's go on to finished objects. So this week I have one big one and one not as big one. This is Mike's sweater, done before his birthday. Thank you. This is maybe the first time I've done that. I usually like to start a sweater for him in the beginning of the year. His birthday is February 8th. I do not always make it. I have not yet made it. I was really close one year, and really not close last year. And so here we are. It's hard. Here we go. He's got long arms, so that was fun. But last week I had joined in the shoulders, and that was it. So I did the collar, which is like the bottom. You pick up, you knit in a 1x1 rib, and then you do like a rolled edge, and same with the sleeves. These have slightly like more rows is what you're supposed to do. And then his sleeve is long, I think it's like 22 inches. And this fits him with like a little bit of room now after I blocked it, which I knew it would give a little bit of room. But honestly, nudidin for me has never blocked out crazy big. So I didn't want to like risk not enough thing. And that's what his one request was, like, can you make sure that the sleeves don't like basically bracelet length him so that he like, they're always like too short. And so I made his dreams come true. I did make him try it on kind of late last night. Like I finally took it off the drying mat. It was dry all day yesterday. Like I could have done this the night before, but I was like, I'm gonna take this down to my office. Can you try it on? Just make sure it fits. It looks amazing on him. I will get, I don't know that I will get modeled pictures of him in it this week, but I will eventually put some pictures up on Ravelry and probably up on Instagram in 100 years whenever I get there. But yes, so this is done. Sorry, this is a pattern by Alicia Plummer, called The Finest Kind. Just start talking about it. You know, I did this with 2 strands of nudidin. It is an Aran weight knit, I think. And like, if you are on the Instagrams and you follow like ZZ Textiles or Witchfire Fibers, they both have an Aran weight woolen spun, or just like an Aran, I think that's a woolen spun for both of them, in their lineup of yarns. And so they both knit this to go to Rhinebeck last year, I think. And that was one of the, it's like, this pattern only came out last fall, but seeing them work on it, I was like, ooh, that is like a really nice texture. And so when we were going through, I need to get rid of this nudidin. I didn't want to wear it. This is not an attractive color on me. You can see that's not great. Looks great on him. He's blonde. looks fabulous. So I'm glad to add to his repertoire. He does wear the sweaters I knit him. He doesn't get dressed up very often, other than for golf. But anytime we do family functions or like we go out on a date night or whatever, he'll always wear a sweater. And so, you know, he's only got 2 good ones from me right now. So I'm glad to add to his repertoire. I won't ever probably knit him much more than 1 a year, but it's fine. These are nice. And really quick, that was a size 2, which is a 40.5 inch bust. I did not take measurements yet for that, but because I just pulled off the blocking mat, but I will do measurements and put them on Ravelry. And I know I was close because I pinned it to size roughly. but I did extend the arms a little bit longer, and I think I shortened the underarm to hem by like a ½ inch. So overall it's pretty much measurements. But because my gauge was off, I did have to pick up more frequent stitches in the underarm, but not by a lot, because, or in the armhole, but not by a lot. Actually, doing the armholes for this was fine. But I will say, this is the thing, if you ever knit this pattern, I had to think about it a lot. You do a certain cadence for the under part, which is like, I don't know, 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4. And then I think it was 2 out of 3, and I might have done 3 out of 4. Okay. But across the top, you do 1 per, and she tells you exactly how many from the middle line, which is really interesting. And the reason she does this is because you do a sleeve cap, and so in order to distribute your sleeve cap without it being like probably too long or spread out, like that gives it like a good width, and also because it's probably not wrong that you want more of your stitches to be across the top. I've just never seen instructions like that for the hiccup distribution, so it was interesting. But you do short rows, but you only do like 8 or something. It's not a lot of short rows across. But short rows in moss stitch get disrupted. It disrupts your pattern. And I had to think really hard about like how I was gonna, what I was gonna do. You either do, and she doesn't give you instructions on which way to do it. You either do your moss stitch with like essentially 3, like more in sections of like however many small moss stitches, 3 or 4. You don't notice it either way. I think you wouldn't notice it, but I decided to stay closer to pattern and do 2, and sometimes there was only 1 row then in a moss stitch pattern before I would have to change it. So whatever, I thought that was a good idea, and it ends up being like, you can't tell, I can show you, you really can't tell. Like, there is a sleeve cap, which makes it fit a little bit nicer, but you can't tell on the sides like that there's disrupted pattern. I really don't know that I'd be able to find it. So that's kind of amazing, actually. Like, what a smart thing. So one thing I wanted to bring up about this sweater for Mike is that because I unknit the beginning of Knitted and Held Double, and I did tell you that I struggled and I had to like spit splice and I had to wind into small balls. I did have someone reach out to me and they were like, oh, you know, the fabric changes, or like the density of your yarn changes when you unknit, unspun, and then reknit it, which I did experience. And I did the top half then with like new fresh yarn or whatever, but I did want to bring this up as like a concept for you all to just like know about. If you ever do unknit, unspun, or like frog it in any kind of project, it condenses it. So what I found was knitting was great the second time, actually, because it was a little bit more condensed. It was like not quite as fragile. But when I got to the top part, one of my cakes was thinner than the other just anyway, but the thicker cake, I did kind of pre-draft it a little bit. I like drafted as I went, just not a ton, but especially parts that were like much thicker so that it matched the same density. I didn't really do that for the sleeves because I had 1 cake left, or 2 cakes left, and I took them and I wound them into balls. And I didn't wind them tight into balls, but I did. And that does also change the texture of your yarn a little bit, because you're manipulating it and you're touching it a bunch and you're putting tension on it before you knit it. And so that made the sleeves, I think, really similar, more similar to the body, just doing that little effort. And so I made like 4 balls of yarn or whatever, so that they weren't too big, but they were like kind of nice and firm. And then I just knit for 2 on the sides, and I made 1 for the collar. And so just as a caveat here of what could happen when you frog something in unspun. Anywho, that's done. All right, let's move on to my next finished object, which is my Christmas sock spin. So I knit this along, well, I spun and knit this along with a handful of my friends from my knitting group, and I am done. I think Ariel's done, and then like Emily she pulled out hers too, and hers are really close too. So it's so fun. She called this spinning consistency for us, which is great, but also it was really just interesting. So because there are only 2 colors in this spin, I think this just lent us all to having much closer looking socks than like most of us had last year. And for me, this is like, I did chain ply last year of split bobbins to make self striping, which was just like a lot of thought in the spin. This year I just did a 2-ply, and I did a more rapid changing 2-ply than anyone else, and everyone else I think did a 3-ply. So colors all look different, and like blocks of colors, their blocks of colors are a little bit longer, but like I have pretty similar size blocks of colors across both of these socks, and they're like in almost the same order, which is wild. I had no planning for this. I think this one's just like a slightly lighter sock than this one. And I do think my hand spun was a tiny bit thinner in the beginning than it was in the second sock. But you can see the consist, like this is my first one. It's just like a little bit like holier than this one. I'm not going to care about that very much. This is, sorry, the DRK Everyday Socks by Andrew Mowry. It is a toe up fleagle heel, which look at the fleagle on this side. It's all marley. It's cute. So I have one mostly red heel and one marley heel. That's our biggest difference there. And the way you do this is like you're doing increases along the gusset that then towards the back of your heel, you don't do a heel turn cup. You just create like a triangle on the back with short rows, and then you finish your sock. I think they fit great. They fit me really well. This is my first pair of this. I made this last year for my father-in-law, and they look silly because they're so long and skinny, but they have quite a lot of stretch, and because the stretch is more horizontal, they just look longer. Then I feel like a lot of times my socks look short, but you're getting more vertical stretch from a stockinette. So anyway, interesting, fun, little cuties. I'm glad that they're done. These are not the only socks I'm going to do this year, but again, I'm not doing 12 socks this year, so I also feel like it was fine to get these on the needles and get these off quickly-ish. I will be doing book socks, but I'm not going to start my book socks until like at the earliest, the very end of March. So my first pair. So that's great. I don't need socks for a little bit. Okay, so we're talking about finished things. The next finished thing I have is actually yarn. So here's my spin update for this week. This is this Ball Will Never End Cormo Rose spin from Little Fiber Co. It's glorious. Y'all, I need to show you this because this is a sort of a battle of mine. I'm an overspinner, sometimes just an overplier. So I don't often have very balanced yarn. I know I can run it back through, but honestly, once you find it out after you wash it, or even before you wash it, when you pull it off, you've put it on the nitty knotty, like I have a really hard time wanting to wind that back onto something and then reply it, like to take a little twist out. Like, I don't know. That's not the mental game I'm going to play. Maybe one day I'll do it, but look at this baby. A balanced spin means that your ply twist and your singles twist kind of even each other out so that your yarn is not twisting extra. You can tell sometimes while you're plying, but like I wasn't sure with this, and I did like a 2-ply from a ball. And that to me is hard to tell sometimes because you're just managing, trying not to get them tangled while you're pulling. I just did a great job, and I'm patting myself on the back for this one. It's a beautiful color, but it's just, yeah, it's super balanced. It's not 100% even. This was spun from a bat, not She Has Braids of the Rose Cormo. I would be interested to see, I didn't look at flock that closely, or I don't remember at least, if the rose in those is more blended or if it's not, because I forgot to say this last week, but definitely one of the things I noticed was that some of the rose was not very blended, and I felt like I just felt like for a bat, it wasn't quite as blended as I wanted it to be for the blend. But overall, it's really beautiful. Here I have one pigtail that's popping out. It's really beautiful. It has like a very like, I don't even know what color this is. Purple. I mean, it's like an indigo-y color. But there's a lot of purple sheen to this bluey purple yarn. I love it. I think it's really beautiful. So there's that. It's like, I don't know, periwinkle adjacent, right? Like it's darker. Okay. My other spin update, even though this is not done. Well, I'm half. So this is if y'all remember, at the end of the year, we did a yarn swap with friends. One of our friends, her name is Bridget, she had made some Rolegs for Sylvan or for the group, I'm not really sure, or she sent us early Rolegs. I'm not really sure where these came from, but they came from Bridget. And I took 2 bags of them, and they each had like 5 maybe Rolegs in it. It's about 2 ounces, I think. I don't remember where the note for this one is, but I did my start my second one too. So they both said they were 50 grams, and I think they were mystery wool and silk, both of them. This one, you can see the sheen. It's really beautiful. It's got some more like greens and then some teals, and yeah, it's just really pretty. And then there's this one. This is one I just started. I have 1 of the 5 done. And you can see, if you don't know what a Roleg is, it's basically like you blend things on a blending board. You can also do it on a drum carder, but on a blending board, and then you take like a pencil or something long and you pull it off into this wormy shape. And this one has a lot more unexpected colors in it. There's like quite a lot of red and like purple inside of this bluey one. Okay, these little worms look hilarious. The way I've been spinning these is I have been pre-drafting them. So I've just been pulling, and you can pull, and then you'll get something easier to spin. This is, I just think, I don't know that I'm a Roleg person. Okay, this is what I've decided. I know people like woolen spin from Rolegs, and maybe just because there's silk in this too. I find that to be very challenging with these. I also think like even when you pre-draft it, like the fibers are like a little bit condensed from getting rolled up like that. So I don't know that it's my favorite way to spin something. I do think I like a bat if I'm going to do a woolen spun, but doing a short forward of these is very satisfying because, and that's what I did for this, because I think the control is there because you already have this, like, once you start pulling it out, this pre-drafted piece is like all pretty much the same throughout. So it's a little bit faster when I just pre-draft one of these. So then it was like very fast just to go through. And so I've been enjoying that. And so I don't know. I want to kind of get the bobbins more complete. At first, just holding them up next to each other in the bag, I thought that I would ply them together, but I don't know that I want to do that. I might just end up with 2 little babies. It'll just give me like closer to a full braid if I ply them together. So I'm still debating. It could be a thing. We'll see. Okay, let's talk about other projects. I will show you my Stella quilt blanket square as far as I got this week, which is not terribly further than last week. I think last week I had the first, and I'm connected to yarn because I got in a debate with myself. And so if you want to weigh in, you can. I don't know that I'm going to wait until y'all weigh in, but here is where I got. Did I get to the second? I don't think I got through the whole second round last week. I honestly don't know. I didn't put a pin in here, but here we are. And here's my debate is I started this part last night. So I did this part of the square at midnight, but then I wanted to cast something new on with everybody. And so I picked up this darker gray that is very reminiscent of this gray. It's got some teals and purples in it, and it's pretty. And overall, this is the blanket that has 3 squares that are gray and purple with purple. I just was like, I don't know if there's enough contrast between these two, and I was worried it was just too dark next to too dark. In the daylight, I think it might be okay. My other option is to throw in, because I had this one in this same bag as like a backup, to throw in this color, which I maybe would do. We'll brighten up the whole square a little bit, but do I want that is the question. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it. So are you team like periwinkle, or are you team just go with gray? Let me know. I'll probably work on this honestly today, but I've got other things to work on, so I could take a pause and let y'all vote on that, or I'll just put it on the Discord and then you can let me know there. But yeah, so that's my Stella quilt blanket by Laura Penrose. I'm going to just be flashing that up. Like sometimes I think I might tell you more about the colors, but that one's not done. We'll revisit it when that square is done. I am not going to finish it by the end of January, but that was not the point. I wanted to just get it started in January so that I can stay a little bit ahead. I think my hope would be like maybe by the end of February, I have 3 done. So I'm like really feeling ahead of the game. But we'll see, because now I'm getting into some other things I want to be knitting, and I have a couple more sweater plans that are like itching the back of my brain because I have them like set for this year, and I know it's the beginning of the year, but like they're screaming to get on. But I know I can't just cast on a ton more sweaters with abandon because I won't be able to make enough progress on them, and it'll get to me, right? So I'll talk about what's next. Okay, next we have the pressed flowers pullover. I've done pretty good work here. Did I move? So I did about a half of a flower, I think, before I decided to just pick up sleeves. I will actually, so I had this debate with myself about the yarn. It's like, you know what, I just need to do it. I need to pick up the sleeve. Have started, did one of the chart through, started the second chart, which I think is just this little part right here. And you just do the same chart twice. Okay. The debate with myself was like, okay, if I do this before I decide on sleeve length or whatever, I think I might have to do a little bit more body for the yarn situation, but I just knew I needed to feel like I was making more progress this week. And so I just abandoned the body, knowing I'll come back to it probably before I try the sleeves on. So here's what I'm going to do this coming week is I'm going to finish chart 2 for this, which will give me like 10 full inches of sleeve, which is quite a lot. Then I will take that same ball of yarn I'm connected to already for the sleeves and connect the inside of it over here. And I will knit sleeve 2 to the same place. And then I will weigh the yarn and we will figure out what I can do. Now, this is interesting because these are quite large sleeves. It's like 22 inches or something at the top of the bicep. I don't need even that much space, though I do like a roomier sleeve. I will take this sleeve chart and start it a third time to give myself more decreases, even though that's not the instructions. It's just do it twice and then knit straight and then do rapid decreases for the cuff. But I think that will allow me to decrease out even just 6 or 8 stitches will be great to get out of pattern. So that's my plan. I don't know that I'll get to the body at all, but like if I get both of those sleeves to 10 inches this week, that would be really fantastic. I'm loving how this is coming out. I don't love to play yarn chicken, and I just didn't think I was going to be that close, but I am apparently very close to, like, it just feels stressed about it. I have quite a lot of yarn left right now, but like I can see it dwindling much faster than you would think with each row. And that is wow, I'm just really on a roll this week. Pressed Flowers Pullover by Amy Christoffers, and I am knitting a size 3, which is 49 inch bust, so it's still ease enough. I think her recommended ease is more, but she basically doesn't recommend an ease. In her sample pictures, I think it's like 12 inches, but you can see a whole range of the ways people decided to get this to fit them on Ravelry, and I thought this was a good size for me. I'm using 4.5 millimeter needles, and that is Sonder Yarn Co., the purple, called Ritual. The Sunday Morning DK, which is BFL and Masham. I love this blend. I love working with it. It's really great. It's much thinner than my Cormo actually working with it. So there's kind of nice plumpy contrast between the two. So there's that. Okay. The next thing on my needles that did get some work, actually, it doesn't look like a ton from my pin, but it was a lot of work, is my Birch pullover. And here it is. That's so cute. This color is so good. Okay, so here's where I was last week, and I added like 5, I think I added 4 repeats, which that doesn't look like it is, but it is, of the raglan increases the second set. And so I think I only have 3 left, or 3.5, and I told Knit Night that I counted how many rows that was, and I should not have done that because it made me stop. I was like, oh my god, there's still so many rows left. But no, it'll be fine. I will hopefully split for sleeves this coming week, which I feel like is good, because once you get back to like the body, like it won't be that bad and the sleeves won't be that bad. It's a lot of stitches right now. Like it looks like it's small, but you all, like, this is packed in here, and this is 2.75 millimeter needles. Like, this is serious. This is the Birch Pullover by Andrew Mowry. I'm knitting size 4, which is 45 inches. The recommended ease on this is 0 to 6 inches positive, and that's about 0 for me. I am using a like basic sock from Backloop Yarn and Fiber, who doesn't dye anymore, but she made this special color for me called Periwinkle, and it's like an 80-20 superwash. Nylon 2-ply, a lot like Denali sock, 400 yards, 400 grams. I think it's looking fantastic though. I did join my second ball of yarn, and I don't really think you can see the change there very much. There's like one darker spot that's coming up kind of just like on this side here and a little bit on the back, but it's not across the whole body. And so it's just what's happening with the skein, which is fine. So I'm loving it. That is going to be it's a sloggy knit. I'm not going to finish that one super fast. It's just like a thing I'm like mentally preparing myself. Hopefully this quarter I will finish it. I'm just not going to kill myself to try to get it done right now, even though like I would really like to be joined in the round, because I think just splitting for sleeves like some mental barrier that would be amazing to get over. But there's a lot of knitting I want to do this week, so I'm also going to just chase the joy here wherever feels best, and I'm going to do that. If that feels like something I can't handle this week, then that's also fine. It is monotonous enough that I do feel like it's pretty easy to work on. Okay. There's a lot of purling in the round happening right now though, because this one also has purls in the round. Okay, let's go over my new cast-ons. So I have 2. One of them has no needles right now because I sold them for something else. But this is the Rockhound Hat by Wool and Pine Designs. It is in testing. This is fabulous. This pattern, I've not done any of the Rockhound things, so I think there's a pullover and a vest. The vest was first. That has this like sort of fun, focus here, complicated, and this is just the bottom of it, so I will do the full of the chart in actually right above this. I stopped this round, but it's got this like diamondy like sort of fun cable, and then it's got this pattern in the middle, which is this these are actually fun. They're like a past slip stitch over to like create these little kind of slipped guys, and then like a yarn over, right? So like that's such a fun pattern. Okay, so I'm making an adult large, which is supposed to fit a 23.5-inch circumference head, which is my large head. This is kind of squished on needle, so it's hard to tell. And this pattern will block out a bit, so I think it will fit without crazy ease. I don't know. I'll see which picture. I'm not supposed to share, I think, like the modeled pictures before pattern release, but I'll put one up. It might even just be like their half of this hat done. But regardless, one of the reasons I picked it is because when they did the test call or something, which they shared on their Discord, so there's pictures there, the hat has basically, they tell you can wear it 3 ways, which is hilarious because like you can just wear any hat 3 ways, especially if it has a wide brim like this. One of them is like slouchy with no folded brim. One of them is like a partial, it's folded but not quite as deep and has like a little bit of a poof, like a point on it. And then the other way is to wear it like skull cap, like all the way down with a big brim. That's how I would like to wear it, I think. But yeah, I'm excited to do, so that's why I wanted to do the bigger size, because I have a giant head, and if I just need to fold it a little more, that's fine. I'm about halfway through the chart before the decreases, but that part will go so fast. So I will finish this coming week. This will be my second single skein project because this is something I had in stash. This is Cloudborne Fibers, and the color is Caribbean, and it is their superwash merino wool blend. So it's just 100% superwash merino, and I am using worsted weight yarn. This is a DK weight pattern, but I think this one in particular is like kind of slippery. I thought it would be fine gauge wise, and it is. It's totally fine. And this is also a twisted rib, so when you fold it, you get the twisted purl stitches, and this really beautiful, like it just makes it super, super crisp looking. And it was a really interesting cast on actually too. This was like an alternating cable cast on, I think, which I don't do ever, but it does have like a really nice result for a 1x1 that in the video, he was like, this is easier than doing tubular cast on. And I was like, I mean, I do a lot of tubular cast ons, so I don't know that I agree, because this feels really fiddly to do. You don't have to do the 2 other steps then, but I probably would have done that one a little bit faster, even like probably gotten through more of it, but it's just a little different than a cable cast on, or than a tubular cast on, just because of the way that the twist is. But I think it's really, really crisp in this particular circumstance. And it does have quite a lot of stretch. So yeah, that's nice. I think that might be actually better for some things, because sometimes I think that tubular cast-ons can like flare more because just of the way that you do it. So this shall be coming soon, and I will put it on my head and you will see it next week, and it'll be very cute, and I'm very excited. I don't think this is a very long test timeline, so this will be coming out sometime soonish. But yeah, excited to work on it. The next thing on my needles is another new cast on, and this is my, I don't know if this will surprise any of you. I kind of talked about it maybe at the end of last year. This is going to be also, it's so dinky right now, and it's on needles and like really annoying, but I'm making a stripe pipe. I'm doing it. I know everybody in the world made a stripe pipe like 2 years ago, and that's okay with me. I don't need to be with the times. I've just been waiting for the right inspiration of colors to come together or something. There've been tons of times I could have gotten tonals like and made this, but you're not using a full skein for these, and there's just like nothing that was calling to me in particular. Or I wanted to use them in a different combo or something else. So I'm glad I held off on my ordering, because this is the solstice box from this year, and that is what's going to be my stripe pipe, and it's going to be perfection, and I'm so excited. So this is, honestly, I don't know the color names for any of these. I'll find them for next week, because I'm going to use all 4 of the tonals. So I think I might have mentioned maybe that like Katie and Sylvan got excited because we all were talking about doing something with the tonals, like a sweater, that we would need bare yarn for. So they went out and bought from Wool to Die For the big cone. And this is a kilo. But this is their Crazy 8 yarn, which is the same base as Rocky's. So we can look here. They look the same, looking great. I am in the back panel, obviously, and very, very much at the beginning. I cast this on last night at midnight. I was really excited to get working on it. We debated about the color, or about the size for a little bit, because there's like a 49.5 and then there's a 53. Now I would probably by myself have been like, oh, I'm just gonna make the 49.5. But really looking at pictures, I do like the oversized drape of the real drop to come to about this point, which is where your top ends, so that your stripe color, the first color, all ends sort of together in the same line. When I looked at the pictures and I looked back at a couple of things that were this size on me, I was like, okay, you're right. I think that's what, and Katie took out the measuring tape and measured across my shoulders and was like, I think this is the size you want. So we did that, and it's only like 2 inches shorter, but 2 inches is like a lot when you go up your shoulder, then it would be ending, and then I would have other colors. Anyway, all that to say, I decided to choose size 5, which is the extra large. It's 53 or 53.5. Okay. Recommended ease is like 8 to 12 inches. That to me is usually too big. This is 7.5 or 8. So it'll be fine. That's going to be great. I'm okay being a little bit lower on the end, and really wearing this, I don't feel like this is too frumpy. Maybe it's a little bit the pattern, also being a single tone. This is going to be a little bit crazier colors, but I do think like it's fun and it's sort of the vibe of it. So like sweatshirty kind of vibe, fun colors. So, here we are. I'm just hoping to have, like, I don't know, stripes are so addictive to knit, so like maybe I'll be joined in the round by next week. That would be crazy, but maybe I'll just have the back panel and like one of the fronts picked up. I don't have a ton more stitches or like a ton more rows or stripes or whatever before I get to the end of the back panel. So, I don't know. We'll see. It's so curly. It doesn't ever look like anything until you start adding to it because of all this curl, but I'm really loving it. Okay, omitting the teal hat, which I love teal, obviously. I am having, and I did not realize this until last night at midnight, and I pulled all this stuff out. I am having like a really purple moment. Can you tell? This is many shades of purple. A lot of this bluey purple, that's, here in the middle and over here, but it's a purple time over here. So that's fun. That's all my knitting is purple. That's crazy. Minus the hat. Sorry, and I didn't even say, that pattern is by Victoria Lindbergh, who is Kuko Vakika. And this is my first pattern by her. This is my first Amy Christoffers pattern. This is my first Laura Penrose pattern. I think that's all of them. But I am kind of keeping track of that. I did last year too, like new to me designers. Like that's sort of a fun thing to do. By last year, I mean, I tracked it towards the end of the year. I was like, oh, that's a fun stat to look through and do that. But yeah. And so let's say for the stripe hype right now, these instructions are relatively simple. There are no short rows. There's no short row shaping. So if that's a thing that's going to bug you, then there are other striped patterns out there that have short rows. I'm okay not having it. And the only reason I'm really using this pattern is because I bought it like 4 years ago and I just never used it because I never got the yarn. And so it's sitting in my library and I shall use it because I own it. And why not? I got my Wicked yarn. So I think I told y'all I ordered with Ariel. She and I just put in one order and she got it on Monday and luckily I saw her last night. And so this is Carlsbad worsted in Your Life Could End Up Changing, which is the hot pink. This is a really bright, beautiful pink. It is not as neon as like in my neon era. This is more ready pink, I think. This is more berry pink. And I think it's less purple, just slightly, than Beet Juice, but it is very reminiscent of that color. I got this because Theo picked this one color out, I think, and we picked a hat for her. I now can't remember what hat, but I'll just give her some options again. Probably a Manhattan hat, but because I have a Brooklyn that's in my neon era, and I think she just wanted a pink hat that matches mine. And then the other thing I got is a sweater quantity, and I just got 5 skeins, and I did not pick out a pattern for this, but I will tell you a couple of things that are inspiration, or the one that I think I'm leaning towards. This is Teton Sport, which I've not done her sport base yet, in the She Doesn't Give a Twig What Anyone Thinks colorway. Now, I'm gonna give you a caveat for this. I will put it up here, but I'm probably too lazy to do that. This color looks different in sunlight, and I think no overhead lighting does it justice. I think it's still quite beautiful. It's a very like plummy, almost like brownie black leaning purple. Okay, it's like a very weird way to describe a color, just throwing out other color names, but I really love it. But I know that in the sun there's way more pops of color in here, and so I'm excited to do something with this now because it's so dark, and even though it is variegated, it's tonally similar. One of the things, and I was gonna just wait till I got it, but one of the things that is an inspiration, I don't know if I'm stuck on this, is the Samantha Guerin pattern that came out last year called Study Hour, something like that, which maybe I'll flash picture of. It's like a V-neck and it has like a lace and cable, or lace, maybe just like a lace pattern in front. She does it with fluff, which gives you a little more coverage, but it is a sport weight pattern. And so I think I could achieve that with just this, and it would be so gorgeous. There are other patterns out there. I think I don't have very many sport weight sweaters, but I do love this weight to both work with and to have, and it's up just a smidge faster than fingering weight, but it still gives you that really like lightweight drapey feel. So this is a 80/20 yarn, and it's a 2-ply. So I'm very excited about that. So that's all I got from the Wicked collection. If you don't know, Allie is releasing Wicked 2.0. The first color came out last night, and it's red, and it's a really good red. And I was like, oh no. I don't know if I'll order from this one. I've got a lot of yarn coming to me from Witchfire Fibers and Paisley Knits, but we'll see. We'll just see what moves me for those. Okay, so let's talk books for the week. I read 5 books this week, and I have like some mixed feelings about them. Okay, let's go through them. I do have my peach ratings for all of them, so we'll go through that too. But let's go through the first one. So the first book I read right after Heated Rivalry, mind you. So I think I was talking about this at midnight last night because I guess Katie's also read this recently, and we were talking about the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sarah Mandana that Emily had just read, and she suggested Spellshop, and she said maybe a break because they're very similar and they're like very cozy magic vibes. I think they're pretty different in reality, but like the vibe wise, they're very similar. But I said maybe this was a bit of a problem. So this is a book by Sarah Beth Durst. It's the first book. It's the first in the Spellshop series. I think there's a second one out now already, but and I will probably read it. I did enjoy this read, but after reading The Amazing Story of Shane and Ilya, I had a hard time switching my brain to this like cozy fantasy book. Okay, so I think the ratings, my enjoyment was less than I thought it would be, only because I think I was not in the right headspace. Overall, it was a great book. It's a very interesting, like it's different than the Sarah Mandana books because this whole world is magical and everybody knows that the world is magical. And the world is magical in a different way. And so you basically are following a librarian who is in hiding on an island that is suffering because the unrest at the capital has kept away the sorcerers that keep the magic in balance. And so they've got stuff happening, and the librarian just wants to be a hermit, but finds herself ensconced into like the what's going on in the island. And there's a talking plant, a moving talking plant. There's a bunch of stuff that I just find like, it's cute. It's fun. There's like silly parts, but it's also serious. The first part of the conflict I thought was going to be the conflict ended up not being the conflict. There was like the sort of the build for me was like, I was like, oh no, like, is anything going to happen? Or will something just really awful happen? And it was kind of really in the middle. So I thought that it was handled well, and I overall really enjoyed it. So my ratings are plot 4.5, enjoyment 4.25. This was the one I think would be higher if I had just read it in a different headspace. The artistry 4.25, characters a 4. And this is only because I feel like some of the characters, especially the side characters, were like a little bit one note, or we just like didn't find that much out about them, which was fine. But you know, there could have been more there. And then Heart 4.5. I totally recommend this to people, especially if that like vibe is like, this is more exciting than like Legends and Lattes, but think that kind of cozy atmospheric type read. Okay. So the second book I read was Tough Guy, which is third in the Game Changer series and by Rachel Reid. And I'm going to read the rest of these, especially because I did hear that Heated Rivalry is having a second season. So, and that'll be based on like the Long Game or whatever the other books about them. So I wanted to get through the rest of the series. And this one is about, Ryan Price, who's the like enforcer that gets traded all the time. And he's like kind of a sad sack. But like, he just had he doesn't want to fight, but it's the thing that he's good at. He's a big guy. And so, I mean, if you don't know what an enforcer is in hockey, he's like, they often sometimes call him the goon. They're like the guys that are not really necessarily on the team for their hockey skills, but for their bigness. And they'll be the person that if something happens, they start the fight with the person who did the thing on the other team, or even sometimes just the other team's enforcer. So hockey fighting is like a thing. It's a part of the game. It's really something that gets penalized. This is not supposed to be part of the game, but it's like part of the, you know, excitement and environment. But he's a sensitive soul and he doesn't want to fight. And it's sweet. And he reconnects with someone he knew as a teenager. And the whole thing, I think I liked this love story just like a tad less than the other ones, but I did really enjoy it. It was good. So my peach rating is overall 4.2. So plot 4, enjoyment 4.5, artistry 4, characters 4.5. I felt like they went pretty deep into these two, less than anybody else, but that's okay. And heart 4. I would recommend this like slightly less than the other ones, but I think in the series like it fits and it's a good book. And you get like little glimpses into like the other players because this is happening after Heated Rivalry, like timeline wise. And he talks about like, you know, playing all the different characters you've met. Okay. The next book I read was Lilac by B.B. Reid. So this is a reverse harem book about rock stars, and I got recommended this book. I mean, it was like on a list of things to read, or whatever, spicy books. And it's old. It's 2020, and I didn't love it. I gave this one a 3.5. I think a lot of people like really like this book, and it was just not for me, and not even, I don't know what it was. I felt like I just like didn't feel convinced about anybody's like motives and them falling in love and these best friends just deciding they've never shared before and are just gonna. And like it's like sentences when they're like, well, I'm like, they're not even really dating, like, well, we're gonna marry you. And I was like, what? So I don't know. I'm like less, maybe because I read these like other like angsty long-term relationship things, that this like insta fall in love thing just wasn't doing it for me. That's not my favorite trope anyway. This is a little bit like Enemies to Lovers, because it's about a rock band who needs a new guitarist, and they bring in a person, and then she's a girl, and the guys give her a hard time, and then obviously they all fall for her, and then they decide, and the band is like kind of on the outs with each other, and they decide like that's how they're gonna get their like friendship back, is like by all being with her, which I also like feel a little unconvinced about, but it was fine. It was spicy. It was not like, it was not overly, it's not every scene or anything, but there were like a lot of like little moments. And I felt also, okay, the conflict at the end was like, there was a lot of like roller coastery moments with this, which is okay if you keep it moving. And I think that B.B. Reid did a pretty good job keeping it moving. But the conflict at the end, I was like, that was insane and felt very unnecessary, like so crazy. I just felt like there was other ways. I don't know. It felt unhinged, and also didn't make sense because the person had been like gone for years. Anyway, so I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it was unhinged. So anyway, my 3.5 for this was plot 3.5, because again, I just felt like there were parts that I just like didn't feel convinced about like why things were happening. The enjoyment was like 3.75. It was fine to read. I did have to like take breaks and read other things, and that is usually an indicator to me that I'm not loving the book that much. Artistry was 3.5. There wasn't anything I really hated in the writing style. Like, it was fine. But I just didn't think it was great. Although I think that the bump this up actually to 3.5 instead of just like a 3, because it was fine, was the spicy scenes are really pretty good. So I will give her that. But like the character has synesthesia, and they don't talk about it a lot, but they do she just throws out that things like emotions taste a certain way to her, and she sees music and colors. And there's just the way that they threw that out in the beginning, I thought was really interesting, to not overly explain it. And I knew what that was, but I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. Like, that was kind of a cool thing. And then characters 3, because again, I feel unconvinced about motives. And the heart, a 3.75. I think if you like reverse harem books, you might enjoy this one. If you're trying to dabble into those, like, I would not pick this one. I think there's ones where you can connect a lot more with the characters and understand why they're doing what they're doing. Okay, that's that. Now the next one I read was the third of the Flame and Thorns book, called Court of Lies and Deceit by Marion Blackwood. I read the other 2 at the end of last year, maybe 1 this year. I don't know. This is Dragon Shifters Fae, enslaved Fae. Okay. And the first one was Hunger Games style. The second one was angsty, get out of jail style. This one, or jailbreak. Okay, right? So you can kind of get the vibe of the books. This one, though, I felt like a little disappointed because they just went back to another game. So like a different trials. And it was very different to the trials. Different in architecture of them, different in how they all happened. Like, just very different. But like, it just was still trials. Like, that's all they were doing. And there was at least training moments, and it felt different. But I still was sort of like, I don't know. I felt like there could have been a different way to, like, a different thing they could have done. But this was a 3.65 for me. Plot 3.5, enjoyment a 4. Like, I had a good time reading it. I felt some feelings. I also was kind of annoyed by the main character in this one a little bit, because I felt like she was just like really harping on herself, and that I find a little hard. Like, I am here for characters who overcome self-doubt and other things like that, and I think that everybody struggles with that. But the thing that she was holding on to is like very one note, and the author didn't describe it or explain it in a different way. It was just like repeating the same sentence, and that was kind of annoying. So also that led the artistry to be a 3 for me on this book, and I think I would have rated the other ones higher for artistry, because I thought those books, like, there wasn't a thing that annoyed me. There were like several things in this, and part of it could have also been like the audiobook reader didn't read with like a different inflection, but there were like a couple of times where I just felt like she literally repeated herself for 4 sentences. Like, this book could have used editing. Maybe that's what could have used, some more editing. Characters were a 4. They were fine. Mostly understood the motives, but I didn't really feel anybody grow very much. She did in her magic a little bit, but like, it was, you know, like they just got into this other situation, and like they were all kind of just themselves exactly as they were. So it's fine. And the heart, a 3.75. It was fine. I will continue the series. It was good enough for me to continue the series, but I didn't like it as much as I liked like the first book. The first book was probably the best. And I think there's just one more, and I think it comes out this year. So I would like to finish it while it's still fresh, because I probably will. If it takes too long, I won't go back to it. Okay, the last book I read was actually just a short story. And it's called The River Has Roots by Amal El-Mohtar, and it was so beautiful. If this has come up for you in anything, this is like won a bunch of awards. And this one just, I don't even know, it just was on like a really great things that I read from some people's like wrap-ups this year. It is a fantasy book, but it's not, I mean, I guess if like really technically it's a romance fantasy book, so like maybe it's a romantic, but not in what you would think. The magic system is amazing. It's magic based on language, and so they call magic grammar, and they're just like the way that the author uses pieces of language to explain like the magic and like what's happening, and like it's beautiful. Okay, so I did say before, like, I don't even know what kind of book would get a 5 in artistry other than like Alchemized, because Alchemized is going to get all the 5s. This book, 5 in artistry for sure. Like, it was a beautiful book. There's also a lot of singing in it. Singing, listening, and a 2 is a little bit strange. So I did go down a little bit, but like, it was a very short read. The singing though was pretty, the reading audio, I would suggest you audiobook this because of the singing specifically, and it's so short, but the audiobook of this was very well done. It's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. There are play on words as a big thing on here. Like, it's just really a gorgeous book. The story though, I thought that the plot was good. It wasn't like there wasn't enough information. It was also like there was enough character development. Like, overall, I just thought it was really great. So this one is a 4.6 for me. So I thought plot was a 4.5. And I only think this because I also feel like when I started reading it, I was like, you really get tipped into the world very quickly because it's a short story. And I just didn't expect it to move so rapidly and the explanations to be so truncated, which is fine. And I think you get enough of them, but I had to like get myself into this mental headspace. So again, this is maybe me more, but enjoyment of 4.5. And that was like, maybe that's like pretty close to a 5. It was so good. But I will say there are some parts where I feel like I had to focus a little bit more. So maybe that's why it's a 4.5 for me. I did read this mostly while spinning though. And that was like a very enjoyable, like I could just like kind of turn my brain off of the craft and just listen. The artistry 5, characters are 4.5. I think there's enough in this book for you to like get to know the characters. I do think like I wish they had developed Rin a little bit more, and like there was some information which I just like wish we had gotten a little bit more. Maybe that's just the sad part about short stories, is I just wanted a little bit more. But heart 4.5. Honestly, this is one that I think I will think about more, and I might just bump that up to a 5 over the quarter. I'll go back and like think, you know, maybe even in a month to be like, what have I been thinking about of these books? But I would totally recommend this book if you need a break, if you need something different, if you need a short story. Again, it moves rapidly. The Audiobook is amazing. It's so beautiful. Okay. All right. That's books for this week. Okay, so, and I don't really have that much other in like yarny news, though I would like to tell you that I've gotten rid of a bunch of finished objects. I know people have asked me this before. Where are you going to store all your finished objects? I've shown you before that I store them in our bedroom. We've got a big wall of shelves essentially, so I've got lots of space in there. I've got other space in my house to store too. Like, I'm not going to run out, but I just, in my knitwear tracker, was thinking about this January, really a little bit December too. Like, there are things that I felt like I wore one time last year and I kind of forced myself to wear them because I just wanted to wear them one time. I don't really feel that I need just the amount of things that I'm making. And also because there's a reason I'm not grabbing those. I don't feel like I need to keep them if I can give them to a home that is going to use them and love them. And so I have 2 yarn friends that roughly my size-ish, or, you know, like similar enough that they can, like, you know, like the ease of the things that I'm giving them. And so I gave like 6 to one friend. I'm giving 4 to another, which I'm shipping her also some yarn. So I'm going to get a little more extra out of stash early, which is great. But it felt really nice to like lighten and not like guilt myself into wearing those things. And I made probably pretty early on in my like garment journey, and they're just colors, more colors than fit. One of the things I got rid of, which was surprising, this was still on my shelf when my friend Jess came over to try things on, and I was like, I still think you could take this one and it would be great. I have a Metropolis that I made, which is a Tanis Lavally pattern. It's a free pattern. It's a bulky weight. I'm going to make another one because I love the pattern, but the one that I made with the like scarfy yarn from, that's such a terrible name of yarn, but yarn from Lion Brand, which is like kind of a slow color change, usually 2 colors, whatever. And I had like a teal and white one, and it was great. And I totally wore it a ton, but I just have a lot of teal, makes sense, a turtleneck. And I just never really grabbed that one. And so I have another color that I think I want to do that in, that I would probably grab more frequently. It's like a little, you know, kind of different. I still have 3 colors in my wardrobe, maybe 4: gray, purple, teal, blue, green. I mean, all same family, and then red. And so this is, yeah, anyway, I don't really care. That's fine. Fine with me. Those are the colors I like to wear. But yeah, so I gave her that one. My Brooklyn Raglan Light is out of my stash. My Evanescence, which is actually probably the one I felt saddest about, but I never wear it. And that's like a sideways knit that from Ksenia, who is like cozy, life is cozy. And I did that as like an early test knit. Yeah, and just a couple others that I like had already put in a bag that I was just going to get rid of. And then for my other friend, I gave her like my Claire de Lune, which is that brown one I've never worn because can't. My Sunbeam pullover from Knititude, which is also skin color, and I can't wear my skin color, and I can't wear. And my Tolsta tee actually was another one that surprised me, but I again, it's that poison gray, and I've really been thinking about this, like that color's not suited for me. Like, it doesn't do anything for me wearing it. And so I just decided to part with it, and I'm okay with that. I think that the friend I'm sending to will really enjoy it and will look amazing on her and her skin tone. And I would love to make another Tulsa tee, and I like the modifications I made. I put the picture up here, but it's not great for me without like makeup or feeling like it's a good day. So that's not good. Like, I want t-shirts I'll wear. And I really would like to even do this same mod that I did. That's a DK weight in the fingering weight, doing the eyelets, because I feel like maybe that would be even like more wearable. Anyway, so those are things I got rid of, and I feel really great about that decision. And I think that this is like a memo to you. Just because you made it doesn't mean you need to hold on to it forever. Just because you loved it for a little while doesn't mean you need to trash it either. There are probably other people that would really enjoy your hand knits. And I think maybe people in your life also, if they're size adjacent, that they could wear something and they've been admiring a hand knit, but you don't really want to take the time to make them something. If there's something in your closet that's not getting a lot of wear, you could maybe just gift it to them, re-gift it. I think even most people, I mean, like acquaintances, maybe not, but like your really good friends or your family who either appreciate or understand the craft would be okay with a slightly worn something, especially if you give it a little shave, wash it, make sure it smells fresh, like hand it off. So that's my note to you. Sometimes we need to just, this is like my early spring clean. It's just like, whew, I need to like get it out of my life because it's not doing anything for me here. I don't need it to just sit in a bag. I also like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel bad giving hand knit things to people who feel pressure to take care of them, right? And so maybe this is a less pressure way to do that as well. And these two people are knitters, so this was not the case for them. But like this, as you're thinking about it, for if there's other people in your life. Okay, that's all. That's my memo for this week. For everybody who gave me some well wishes, thank you very much. I am feeling a lot better. I'm feeling much more comfortable. I do think it's going to be like about a month until I'm feeling back to normal, but I definitely am moving around just fine and mostly fine. The thing that I can't do is just relax in the couch because that's like a shape of your bum that is the most uncomfortable for me still. So I've been doing a lot of, I mostly sit with my legs crossed anyway. Crossed, perched. I just like I'm leaning forward a little bit to take the pressure off my tailbone, and or sitting kind of on my side, which is like not great and I have to change kind of a lot, but has been fine. Been standing a lot for work. I've been sitting and I've been spinning, like, and that's not been too uncomfortable because I kind of perch towards the front of my chair when I do that too. So that's been good. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to announce really quick is our clay make along. So if you clay, tea, pullover, or other Ozetta if you just want to be in an Ozetta little group. Yeah, I think I might like retire the Unspun channel and then put this as our new Cal channel on the Discord so people can share progress, patterns, yarn, whatever. There's no hard like start date for this, though I am going to cast on this weekend because I just wanted to get Mike's thing done, though I did cast on another sweater for me. It's fine. I'm going to also cast on my clay. I just need a wind yarn. So I'm probably going to open it up on Friday so that people can get in there, and if there's no set timeline, but I'll probably like want mine to be done within 6-ish weeks. And so maybe just like for the rest of the quarter, we'll have it open or a little bit longer. No pressure. We'll just keep it open, I guess, until people are like done their clay. But if you want to make a clay with somebody, well, I will be here for you as your friend. Okay, so I think that's all for this week, but thank you for hanging out with me. I hope that I kept you company on some good project or chore doing. As always, chores are welcome. Let me know what you are working on below. Let me know if you have any fun project plans, if you have questions, any of those things below. And then just take care of yourselves this week, everybody. It's rough out there. You know, it's, I think, okay also to give yourself some space and be off social media if you need to be. Hopefully you can find some like healthy and nice uplifting knitting space here like my channel. Thank you for joining me, and as always, move your body, stretch your hands and your wrists, and I will talk to you next week. Happy crafting. Bye.